Are you guys ready to do some social studies? Yay! Because it's social studies time, so we're doing it whether you want to or not. Aha! Last lesson, we talked about what makes a community. A community is a place where people live, work, play, and just have fun. So we are a community of learners, but we live in a community called Fort Wayne Community. Our community is very diverse. That means we all have differences. We come from different backgrounds. We look different. We have different cultures and traditions, and that's a lot. We're going to focus mainly on diversity next week. But this week, we're going to focus on communities. We're going to focus on our community. So we are going to watch a video about what Fort Wayne has looked like in the past. Then we're going to read a little bit about why do communities change over time. We're going to look at Fort Wayne, talk about what Fort Wayne looks like now in the present. So if you remember, we're doing verb tenses. We talked about past, what's already happened, present, which is right now, and future, what will happen, what hasn't happened yet, but it's going to. So, all right, here we go. Here is a video about the past in Fort Wayne. I want you to really pay attention to the cars, the way the buildings look, the way the streets look. Do these places look like to you how they look now if you go downtown?
If the streets of Fort Wayne could talk, what kinds of stories would they tell us? Tales of adventurous Americans headed west? Stories of early settlers who established commerce, or of the visionaries who built our city street by street? The treasured images assembled in this book, Historic Photos of Fort Wayne, tell us that and more, with help from author Scott Bushnell.
Downtown was commerce. You went downtown to see, and you went downtown to be seen.
Columbia Street is a ghost of its former self. It was once downtown's main thoroughfare, stretching along the Erie Canal all the way from Harrison Street to where the Three Rivers Apartments now stand.
Columbia Street was called the Landing. If you were coming west, if you were venturing forth in your life, this would be the first thing that you saw in Fort Wayne. It was an ideal place to have a business. That's a pretty positive way of being introduced to a community.
The bright lights of Fort Wayne attracted adventurers and entertainers. For $2 a night, you could stay at downtown's most recognizable landmark, the Randall Hotel, at the corner of Columbia and Harrison.
If you went down and pointed out and said, well, this is where Buffalo Bill Cody and his troupe would stay, and they came to perform in Fort Wayne, you'd look around and go, where? Where?
Downtown became a juncture of travel and commerce for the Midwest, and the city's success was never more apparent than on Calhoun Street.
It was a main path into and through the city that it was pumping life into the community.
Would you believe that Calhoun Street was once home to 2 piano stores only a few blocks apart? Pubs, hardware stores, dress shops, and more lined Calhoun, while agricultural products were sold at the bustling Barr Street Market. At its best, the Barr Street Market was 3.5 blocks long. It's now much smaller, but Indiana summers still bring free trade to Barr Street.
What is fascinating is to see how the market adapts and changes as the community changes. It's kind of a barometer of how successful it is.
In the 1940s, downtown was bustling, full of trolley cars and big city department stores like Wolf and Dessauer, the Grand Leader, and G.C. Murphy's. The old In Boyd Theater changed its name to the Embassy in 1952, and downtown was on the up and up. Fort Wayne was among the first cities to implement an emergency fire telephone number. Seen here, the Junior Chamber of Commerce painted sidewalks with reminders of the city's 119 number. Some things haven't changed. Downtown improvement efforts continue by the Downtown Improvement District, city government, and others. If history teaches us anything, it's that we can't stop change. And downtown Fort Wayne will always keep changing. But it remains the center of who we are and where we came from. And it's that sense of community that started the city of Fort Wayne hundreds of years ago. For Discover Downtown, I'm Carrie Houston.
So now that you've seen what Fort Wayne looked like in the past, you should be thinking wow, it definitely doesn't look like that anymore. We don't really have horses and horse-drawn carriages in town anymore. Of course, unless you live near what people call Amish country. So if you live close to the Maysville Walmart, sometimes you will see, or Meyer, that area, sometimes you will see horse-drawn carriages because that's where a different diverse community lives. Amish are a diverse community where they have some different beliefs, and they don't do things like how we do and live like we do. They don't have cars. They don't use electricity like we do. So they still use horse-drawn carriages, but we don't see those all over. The cars in that video might look different. The streets look different. Fort Wayne has changed. So why did it change? Why don't we just leave it? Why has Haley changed? If any of you were here, I don't know if this is past your time, but years ago, Haley went through a big renovation where we used to have a different building. Like it's the same building, but the inside looks different. And they changed it. They updated everything. Why would they do that? Like we used to have chalkboards on the walls on both sides, and now we have big whiteboards. I don't know if I can turn it and show you. Let me see. Why did they change that? Why bother? Why spend the money and the time to tear those off and put those up? They put new flooring down. They literally like redid the walls and the ceiling. Everything looks different. The bathrooms were redone. Like they have new bathroom doors and all of that. Why? That's so much work. Why do you think they made those changes? Well, we'll talk about it in a minute, but let's go ahead and read on page 274. I'm going to write that right here, page 274. And that way, if you weren't listening, that you can get there now, page 274. So my book might look a little different than yours because I have the teacher's edition, okay? But on page 274, we're going to read this really short section about communities changing over time. So follow along with me. Whoa, my screen went crazy. Sorry about that. Communities change over time. Communities change over time. What was once an open field may be a parking lot. A small town could grow into a big city as more people settle there. New and different businesses open. A shop that sold farm supplies may now sell computers. One thing has not changed over time. People want to make their community a better place. They might work at food banks or pick up litter. You can find out how your community was settled and how it has changed. Read about it. Compare and contrast past and present images and maps. Interview people who have lived in your community for a long time. And so you could absolutely do this. Ask someone who's older than you. Even me, I'm only in my 30s, but I've been alive a lot longer than you. You could ask me how things have changed since I've lived here. But think of someone like your parents, your grandparents, maybe a neighbor that you talk that's older, your teacher. Ask them how things have changed, what looks different now than it did then. And you just watched about how it changed in the past, but people want change for the better. They want things to always be getting better. If you live in a house and you never clean it and you never mop and you never sweep and you never wash your sheets and you never do the dishes, things get really dirty, they get old, they get run down, and we don't want that. People want to live in a space that's comfortable and clean and new and fancy. So we constantly, that's why we updated the buildings. The pipes needed replaced so that we had safe water and heat coming through. We needed, the chalkboards were a problem because some kids can't breathe in the particles that from chalk, like the dust, it's bad for their lungs. So we changed to dry erase boards where we don't have those dust particles in the air from that. And there's a lot of other things that changed too. We got new boilers, so our heating, our air conditioning is safer and better. So change is for the better. So think about how Fort Wayne is changing for the better. You know what Fort Wayne looks like right now. We've recently gotten like well, this isn't recent for you, but in my lifetime, it's recent. The Tin Cap Stadium, that wasn't always there. We had the Wizard Stadium. So we have a giant coliseum where we can have concerts and go to hockey games when, you know, the Rona is not a threat. There's a lot of fun things to do in Fort Wayne that there's constantly new things coming and changing. And just this year we got like a Trader Joe's, which is a new, it's not a new store, but it's new to Fort Wayne. And there's always things that they're exciting when there's change that make people want to live here and stay here. If everybody moves out of Fort Wayne, there's nobody live here, then their community goes downhill. We need people wanting to stay here, wanting to move here. So, all right, next up, We showed the past. We just talked a little bit about the present. Now, present's easy because it's what you currently see when you look out your windows, all right? Let's look at the future. I don't know what I'm doing. So the future of Fort Wayne. This video that you're going to watch next is about some of the major projects that Fort Wayne took on. Now, some of them have already been completed, so some of them are now in the past. Some of them are being worked on right now, so it's present, and there's a couple that haven't been done yet that are the future. And these are the 5 big projects. And like I said, you'll see which ones you recognize. And there's one of them called the Arena that I've heard may not happen at all. They may cancel that. And then at the end of this, we'll talk about which ones were past, present, and future, and which ones you guys are excited about. And check it out, Fort Wayne.
There's something happening in our great city. You can see it in the faces at a weekend ball game. You can taste it in dozens of new local establishments. And you can feel it as you pedal along miles of riverside trails. It's pride. Pride in knowing this is an amazing place to live, work, and raise a family. We have the best in recreation, from dozens of nearby lakes to world-class golf courses to beautiful parks. The arts thrive here, as do entrepreneurs. Across the region, world-class businesses are choosing to succeed here. The momentum started with $54 million Parkview Field, built in 2009 and now ranked the #1 minor league ballpark in the nation. This project resulted in $250 million in private investment in downtown Fort Wayne. We are building on our momentum and making Fort Wayne a best-in-class city. Our 10-year vision for 5 world-class projects will transform our city and set us apart from all others. Plans for a downtown arena will support year-round events and bring energy to our city center. It will enhance offerings at the Grand Wayne Center and host mid-sized concerts and sporting events. Fort Wayne's commercial and retail historic district will be transformed into a prime destination with boutiques, galleries, and restaurants. Restored historic buildings are exciting gathering places for all ages and an important point of pride for citizens. The downtown riverfront will be a unique experience for everyone. The Riverfront Promenade will be an iconic gathering place, offering entertainment and recreation. Through the River Greenway and public parks, the riverfront will connect to more than 80 miles of walking and biking trails. The transformation of the historic GE campus will create a revitalized space for living, working, shopping, and dining to attract young professionals and empty nesters alike. A true urban renaissance in our city. Steam Park is a one-of-a-kind gateway to education and entertainment that will connect to Science Central. The park will engage national companies in preparing young people for 21st century jobs. Slated to begin in 2020, plans for Steam Park include an aquarium, concert venue, residential tower, and more. We are investing in our community to become a best-in-class city. Fort Wayne is poised for greatness, so join the commitment to our city's future. Sign on in support of the vision and learn more at gfwgo.com.
Okay, so if you didn't know about some of these projects, it's pretty cool. The first one on there they talked about was the arena. So is that past, present, or future? Does anybody know? That's possibly future. So the arena is, we already have a Coliseum. So some people were saying, like, why do we need an arena? It's pretty much the same thing where we have concerts and stuff. Well, a lot of big cities do have more than one type of Coliseum, so that they, if let's say if Lady Gaga's coming to have a concert at the Coliseum, but yet the Wiggles can come into town too for the little kids. Maybe the Wiggles are going to come to the arena and Lady Gaga goes to the Coliseum. So there could be 2 different things to draw people into our town at once. Now, I don't know if this is still happening. This was the one that I had heard got put on pause, and they may just cancel this project. I haven't heard any updates of that. So the arena is possibly the future, or might get the axe. It might not be happening. So the next project was the Landing. Let's see if my video wants to catch up. There we go. The Landing. That's the one they talked about. That would be like shops and stuff to bring people downtown. Does anybody know about the Landing? Is that past? Already happened? They already did it? They're presently working on it, or it's the future? Past. I'm pretty sure the Landing is done. They might still be working on it, but it's either the past or the present. It's already been started and working on it. Okay, what about the next one, which was Promenade Park, the riverfront project, past, present, or future? That is already past us. They finished that project. I don't know if any of you have been there. This isn't an actual picture of it. This was a rendering. That means that it didn't exist yet. So they made a picture of what it might look like when it was done. But there's a park, there's a river, there's kayaking. Miss Meerwald, our gym teacher, one of our gym teachers, she works down there and does some of the kayaks that people can rent to go on the river. So this is a past thing that has already been done in Fort Wayne to improve Fort Wayne. Communities change for the better. So this is making things better. Next one is the GE campus. That's a giant building downtown. That's a very historical building. People have seen it before. They know what it looks like. Instead of ripping it down, they're going to turn it into like this big campus where there's like businesses can go in there and whatnot. What do you think about that one? Past, currently working on it, present, or future? This is actually present. This is they're working on the GE campus right now. I don't know I haven't checked in on the progress of this, but last I heard they were working on it towards like getting like new, young, and hip businesses coming to Fort Wayne. Okay, and then the last one that they talked about on here was called STEAM Park. That's the one they said is going to be by Science Central, and it might have like an aquarium, like an awesome fish tank, not just a fish tank, but like kinds of like fish and stuff, and some science and art. STEAM is science, technology, engineering, art, and math. So it'd be like a whole nother Science Central. So I hope you learned a little bit today about Fort Wayne's community, the past, the present, and the future. So my virtual kids, you're welcome to do this as well, but in-person kids, what I want you to do is you're going to look at page 275 as a group, as a class. You guys are going to discuss and answer those questions. You don't have to write them down unless you want to, but those will be some good discussion starters with Mrs. Smith. Okay? All right. See you later.